What was your first flirtation with fame, Martin Freeman?
My first flirtation with fame was I was in the Surrey Comet when I was 11,
Right.
and the headline was Martin beats injury to reach the top. And it was I was a squash player. I was a very good junior squash player in the Surrey squad, and I had recently 2 hip operations. And so a photographer came around and photographed me in my Surrey squad tracksuit and my squash racket, smiling at the camera in the same embarrassed way that I have now when someone puts a camera in my face. In fact, I was better at it when I was 11, to be honest, than I am now.
What, less self-conscious?
Yes.
You always look very serious in photos.
Do I?
You've got a very nice line in suits. I've noticed you in a few articles, and you seem to have a few kind of natty double-breasted numbers run up.
Yeah, well, I like clothes. I've always loved clothes.
Yeah.
So the clothes I never worry about. It's just what my face is doing. That's what I have to. That's probably why I go for serious, because I think what I think is a nice smile, I look at and think that looks like it was drawn this morning by my son.
But I know when I'm doing a photo, not as often as you, and people say, "Right, smile now." I say, I have been doing.
Yeah.
That is smiling.
Or when they say, come on, big smile, and I think, well, give me something to smile about, like take the camera away, and then I might be happier.
Yeah. Your brother's been on here, Jamie.
He's been on.
Yeah, he says, say hello to my brother Martin. Looking forward to hearing him.
Ah, right. I see.
Jamie, singer and songwriter from the Jamie Freeman Agreement.
Yeah, they're very good. He's a very talented man,
Right.
Jamie.
Okay,
Yeah, as was my brother Tim. My brother Tim was in a band called Fraser Chorus in the late 80s, early 90s.
Right.
And,
I'm not sure I knew they used to. Well, I used to play Fraser Chorus. Did they have a record called Your Dress?
Your Dress? No, they did. They had a record called Dream Kitchen. And,
Maybe that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no, they were on.
Maybe it had a
Virgin
picture of a dress
4AD.
on the front.
Yes, that was a. They were on 4. Their first single was on 4AD.
With
and it
like a
was
summer
Sloppy
frock
Heart.
on the front.
Yeah, absolutely.
Called what?
It's Sloppy Heart.
I remember
and it was,
that.
on 4AD. That
We'll dig it out. We'll dig.
Yeah.
We will dig that out. Yes, indeed.
I'm from a talented brood. Yeah.
And of course, you're no strangers to Six Music. You've done shows on Radio 2 and Six Music, haven't you?
I've done shows on BBC London, Radio 2, BBC6. Not for a while, but you know, I like it. It's it's the nearest thing to the perfect job in my head, as you would probably concur. You know, if someone pay you to play records,
I know.
that's pretty good.
No, it is. It's all right. And do you still play squash, by the way?
I do not play squash. No, I think I'd be a bit rusty now. But I used to love it, and I was good. Yeah.
And what about the hips? Are they still? They're
The hips are
holding up?
cool. Yeah, the
Right,
hips.
okay.
The hips are in fine working order.
Well, I suppose you should talk about Fargo, which is. For people who don't know, it's what is it? A 10-part TV series inspired by the mood of the film.
I think is probably the best way to put it. Yeah, it's not a literal retelling of it, or it's not a sequel or a prequel or anything like that. It's kind of using the universe of Fargo as a sort of starting point, and we sort of jump off from there and go our own way, really. So tonally, I think it has to pay homage to that Coen-esque thing of getting a kind of darkly comic setting going.
Yeah.
And there are things that you laugh at that you think, oh, God, I don't know if I should have laughed at that. And there's a bit of violence and a bit of stuff that isn't for an 8-year-old. But apart from that, it's all the work of... well, it's all the work of all of us, but script-wise, it's the work of a man called Noah Hawley, who's written all 10 scripts, and he has got the blessing of Joel and Ethan Coen, because they feel that he got their tone pretty well. They said, well, you've channeled us very well in this, so we'll put our name on it, which is a lot nicer, obviously, to have Fargo with their name on it than Fargo. It would have felt not kosher.
Well,
really,
indeed, you want their blessing. Should we have a listen? Should we have a listen to the trailer, and that'll set up the mood
Why the
perfectly?
hell not?
I think, yeah.
What you want me to write for cause of death?
It's self-explanatory.
License and registration, please.
Yeah, I guess we could do it that way. Or you could go back and get in your car and drive away.
Why would I do that?
Because some roads you shouldn't go down.
There's 2 kinds of policies you should be thinking about.
We just came in to get Charlene on my health care.
On account I'm having a baby.
Oh!
Yeah?
What happens if you have an accident at your work?
I work at the library.
Salesmen make their own wins. Your brother just got a big promotion. I guess I married the wrong Nygaard.
Will you look at that?
Oh, hey, Sam.
You remember the story of the boy that I put in the oil drum and rolled out onto the highway?
You know, guys at work, they talk about how they look up to their brothers. Sometimes I tell people you're dead.
If that was me in your position, I would have killed that man. If you don't stand up to the boss, the wife, you're just gonna get washed away.
Honestly, I don't know what got into me marrying you. My mom said, don't do it, Pearl. Loser.
Take that back.
Oh, you gonna hit me?
You've got a big lump hammer in your hand, haven't you? In the basement there.
It would appear so.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. The film, it's such a great film. Such a great film with such great performances. Francis McDormand and Steve Buscemi. And William H. Macy, who's kind of the goofy... That's the character that you've sort of taken on. This little loser man who's emasculated by his wife and family, and something is boiling up.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. It's a different name. It's not literally the same. We're not playing any of the same people, but there are people who are comparable from the film to the series. And yeah, I mean, my character, Lester Nygaard, is just, he's kind of been on the receiving end of life all his life, really. When we join him, he's henpecked by a very frankly annoying and unloving wife. He's in a bad job that he's very bad at, and through a sort of chance meeting with Billy Bob Thornton's character, Lorne Malvo,
who's really menacing.
Really menacing it, yeah. He kind of sees that he could possibly live life in a different way, that he doesn't always have to be on the receiving end of life, that maybe he's able to take control. But the way that he takes control isn't always recommended by doctors.
I mean, the thing it's got in common, obviously you want people who've seen the film to recognise and empathise with it whilst taking it somewhere new, but it does have that atmosphere. And Fargo, the original film I looked up this morning, calls itself a homespun murder story, and there's something about the stuff that lurks behind normality, the sort of banality of evil in a way.
Yeah, and not only... because the normality that we have in this show and in the film as well, I guess, is not just a normality that we all recognise, but a heightened normality of this thing that they call Minnesota nice. So it's a very sort of formal a culture that kind of wants to save face and be presentational, and where manners are very important, where no one ever says anything like what they're really thinking. Do you know what I mean? And certainly my character, Lester, gets nowhere near to really saying his true
Frances McDormand was genius at that in the film, wasn't she? It was like a kind of homespun little American housewife who had this real razor-sharp mind.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there's a kind of equivalent in that character, I guess, in ours. A policewoman called Molly Solverson, who's played fantastic by a newcomer called Alison Tolman, who I think is going to slightly blow people's minds, because no one knows who she is.
Right.
But you sure will after this.
And there's such the cold gives it such a great atmosphere, rather like that other great film, I think a couple of years later, Al Pacino in Insomnia. And the Scando Noir stuff, or even going back to The Shining, being imprisoned by the weather gives it an extra edge.
Absolutely, yeah. There were a couple of times where I felt kind of, I was reminded of The Shining, just by the weather and certain, hotels that we would be at. And
where were you doing this? I mean, I think I read somewhere you were sort of, in sub-zero temperatures for like 6 months or something.
I was there for getting on for 5 months, and yes, the lowest it got was -40.
Where was it? In
Calgary, in Alberta, in Canada. And when it gets cold there, it's serious, and kind of life-threatening, and you've got to kind of properly cover up, I mean, because I thought, well, I've been cold. I've never been anything like that cold. It's a whole different ball game there, and they kind of take it for granted. If it's -20 there, that's like, well, it's -20 for us in London or in Salford even would be horrendous.
Well, it was. I think it was not like about 3 years ago. We had 2 consecutive winters where we were getting down to minus double figures regularly.
Right. Yeah. And we do notice it. There, they don't notice -10. I mean, it barely registers.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the sort of frustration of the weather though in the original film, because I haven't seen the whole of your series yet. I've seen bits of, I remember when people are frustrated, but you can't go out and drive off. You've still got to chisel all that ice off your car.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't just flounce off. It'll take you half an hour, as you say, to clear the car.
And so when does it start? Actually,
it starts on the 20th.
On the 20th, so on Channel 4 at 9 o'clock.
Correct.
And there are 10 episodes. Is it something that could run further? Do you think, depending on the reaction?
Yes, I think it possibly is. Yeah, I think it is, but never to count your chickens. But we're hoping, of course, that people like it. I think it could have more life in it. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Oh, we look forward to it a lot. And what else? What next for you?
Next, I'm playing Richard III on the London stage. It's been my
yeah.
first play for about 3.5 years. And yes, I'm doing Richard III at the Trafalgar Studios in London, which I'm very much looking forward to.
Yeah, great stuff. Yeah. It's all gone terribly well for you, hasn't it, really?
Thank God, yeah. No, it has. It has. I, it's kind of embarrassing. I can't even complain a little bit. I'd love to be able to, but I can't.
It's with The Hobbit and everything, it kind of used to be the thing that only seemed to happen to Americans, that they became film stars.
Well, I am an American.
Right, okay.
I've got dual nationality.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm now Minnesotan.
Do you get self-conscious doing an American part? I know you're an actor, and accents is part of what you do. I always thought about Hugh Laurie in House, it's like an English bloke to play this American role.
Partly you do, you do partly, and then you're aware that they've really trusted you with something, because they didn't hear my Minnesotan accent. I could have turned up on day one and been appalling at it,
Well, you don't have to, you don't have to try out for that. They just
I didn't audition. No, they just offered me the role, and so I worked very hard at the accent and worked hard at it daily and stayed in the accent, all day, every day.
Oh, did you? Well, even when you weren't filmed, right?
Yeah, I mean, not when I had a complete day off, but on any day I was at work, from the moment I was picked up in the morning to the moment I was wrapped out,
having your lunch or whatever.
Oh yeah, or just staying it, because it's too difficult to go from how I sound now into Minnesotan, just at the drop of a hat. You've got to your muscle memory's got to be working, and you've got to stay in it all day.
Well, we're looking forward to it enormously.
Thank
20th, it launches 9:00, Channel 4. We'll play a bit of Frankie Valli, because I know you're a big soul man.
Nice,
man. Great talking to you, Martin.
Thanks
Thank you.
a lot, Mark.
Cheers.
You too.
Bye. Bye.